Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here. It's time now for another Orns Friday focus on Watford versus Leeds at the Vic. Tomorrow, it's of course a very, very significant game. We all know that as Watford fans, how much this game is on the calendar because Watford must win this game against Leeds, who of course are themselves not entirely out of the relegation fight. They are on 30 points. That means at this point, they are 8 points clear of Watford. And so for them, if they were to win tomorrow, it would do them a world of good and they will be almost safe in this particular season. But they aren't there yet, Leeds, and Watford are far from there. And this is the first of the five home games that Watford must win if they are to stay in the Premier League. Or alternatively, they can win four of their five home games and win an away game, and that will be enough to keep them up. 37 points is going to be the target. I've been saying this for quite some time. I think it's going to be 37 points that will be the all important number, and Watford need 5 wins to get there. Now, tomorrow it will be a game that Watford will have to go on the front foot. And what they have to do here is take all the positives out of the last two games that they have played, one win and one loss. And they will have to make sure that they bring all of those positive things into the game against Leeds at the Vic and finally get their first home win since November. Yes, it's been that long since Watford have last won a game at the Vic. And Watford, if they put themselves about immediately from the off and play as if they are the home team on the front foot, with the dominance, with the attitude, with the right kind of swagger, with the kind of aggressiveness they showed at Anfield, with the kind of aggressiveness they showed in the game against Southampton, and in fact, some of the aggressiveness they showed in the game against Arsenal a few weeks back at the Vic. That was a game that I saw some promise from Watford, even though Watford ended up losing the game. They did go about on the front foot for some of that first half, although, of course, there were some individual mistakes, and we know who they were from late in that first half that cost Watford ultimately, but they continued to battle. And if they continue that battling spirit, Watford, I think they will be in pretty darn good shape against Leeds tomorrow. Now, this is not going to be an easy game. Watford are going to have to score first. I think that's going to be the key to this game because Leeds have a much more disciplined unit defensively than they did under Marco Bielsa. The American head coach, Jesse Marsh, has got this team, Leeds, right on track. They did a sensational job at Wolves a few weeks back, and they have held it down over these last few weeks under Jesse Marsh, and they will certainly be a much more stout defensive outfit. I think the players that Watford have to be careful of and they have to watch are the likes of a Jack Harrison, who is rounding into form, of the likes of a Rafinha, of the likes of a Rodrigo, of the likes of someone like Luke Ayling in defense, who is quite wise in the way he plays the game. He does make a mistake here or there, but he is someone who is a solid servant for Leeds. Somebody I think Watford should not underestimate in defense as they go forward. I think those are the kinds of players that can hurt Watford in the game tomorrow, but Watford have an abundance of talent and skill of their own. And for the first time this whole season, the entire squad is fit and healthy. Quadwo Bar has returned to training for Watford, and that is encouraging. We need all the help we can possibly get in these remaining 8 games. And this first game of the 5 home games is absolutely crucial for Watford. They will have Ismail Assar. They will have João Pedro. They will have, of course, Cucho Hernandez. Expect all three of them to start as they did last week at Liverpool. I expect relatively few changes in this lineup for Roy Hodgson starting the game on Saturday. I fully expect pretty much everybody to be in there, perhaps except Kuchka. I think Kuchka should sit, and I would like to see someone like an Atebo or a Kayembe given license to go forward a bit more and be a bit more of the dirty working inside midfield types who disrupt play and turn the ball over to Watford to go forward on. And if you combine that with Lauza and you combine that with Sissoko, who really does love to roam and move and do everything, you do have a recipe for something I think can be very good. And I think that if you do that, I think you'll be in good shape. Now, Watford will have to put themselves about in this game. Leeds can be very physical. and they have Strike on their team, who is a very physical player. He will leave a mark on you for sure. Watford will have to get physical with Leeds now, not to the point of absurdity or unnecessary cards, and certainly not a sending off. Watford will, though, need to establish their presence in this game. The best way to do that is to score first and not be satisfied with a 1 goal lead. Go for two, go for three. If you get that lead, Watford, if you get that lead, you score first, go for the second, go for the third. Don't sit back and settle. So many times this season, particularly at home, Watford have settled on a 1 goal lead and have decided to defend. You can't afford to be negative at home now. You have this game for your Premier League lives. This is the first of them, and you must win it. You must get 3 points. And that means get on the front foot from the off. And don't give up any silly fouls. There have been too many silly fouls lately. I've noticed it. Even the great Hassan Kamara has fallen foul of this literally lately. At Liverpool, he gave away a couple of silly fouls outside the 18-yard box. You do not want to be doing that and giving the opposition a chance for a set piece play. As far as everything else is concerned, if Watford keep the defensive discipline that has largely been part of their game for most of the games under Roy Hodgson, I think that will be a good thing for Watford. Don't forget, Watford will have to look out also for Gelhardt. He is also a dangerous player on the Leeds side. That young man scored the winning goal for Leeds against Norwich, which I think was one of the significant turning points for Leeds as they have started to push themselves away from the relegation zone. But they're not out of it yet. They're not out of the relegation scrap by a long shot yet. They still have a little way to go before they get entirely safe. Watford, for them, the uphill climb starts right now at this massive moment at the Vic. Give the fans something to shout about, and the fans have to keep the volume high no matter what happens. Hopefully, though, Watford will get these 3 points because they desperately, desperately need them, and they really can't afford to drop any kinds of points at all in this game against Leeds. Again, I think that you have a very strong opportunity here with the front line you've got, and the finishing has to be there. The finishing must be there tomorrow. That is no ifs, ands, or buts. The finishes that did not go in against Liverpool, I think, will go in against Leeds. And I think that João Pedro will get on the score sheet as well in this game, among others. I think Watford will score at least twice in this game. And I think it's going to be a close finish, but I do think Watford will hold on for the win against Leeds United. Well, I don't predict very often, but this is one I do feel very confident about. And Watford, I think, will come out of this with 3 points. They have no other choice. This has been the Orns Friday Focus.